I don't know. Let's see. So it's pretty amazing. Does anybody want to hear a story about a clown car accident? Oh, it's right here. I gotta tell you, I'm originally from Wisconsin, and there's a town in Wisconsin called Baraboo, and they're circus oriented. They have like a circus museum, and they're into clowns and all this stuff. And one day at work, we were talking about 19 clowns getting killed in a drunk driving accident waiting to happen. I think we came up with, but anyways, somebody said I should write a story about it, and I forgot about it for a few years, and I took some classes in Hibbing and learned, and we had to write a story. It's kind of a freestyle story writing thing. So I came up with this, probably not my best writing, but it's one of my silliest. And let's see, and a lot of the information actually, names and schools and stuff like that, are real. But the story itself isn't, so don't panic. It's called 17 Dead in Clown Car Accident. Baraboo, Wisconsin, police and paramedics responded to a 911 call at 2:33 a.m. on Friday, March 19th, about a car that crashed into a tree. Jacob Armitage made the call when he was awakened by strange noises, followed by the unmistakable sound of twisting metal and breaking glass. Looking out his bedroom window, he saw a vehicle shattered in his front yard. That's when he made the call. I was awakened by the sound of one of those horns you hear on those old Model T cars, Armitage explained to our reporter. You know, they go, auga. That's what they're called, I think, an auga horn. It sounded like it was getting louder, like it was getting closer. The whole while I heard tires screeching like a car swerving like crazy, and a second of silence followed by a huge crashing sound right in front of the house. The car was an orange 1968 Volkswagen Bug that was covered with large red dots. It was driven by Frank Rainier, better known as Dribbles the Clown. He and 18 of his co-workers were last seen at Bonzo's Eatery and Pub on the edge of Baraboo National Place. He and 18 of his co-workers were last seen at, oops, I just said that line. Where's this deja vu? All right, let's see. They're celebrating a successful afternoon show they had put on for the 5th grade class at the Jack Young Middle School in Wisconsin Dells. Janet Frewer, who frequents Bonzo's, was there that evening. She told us those guys were always pretty wild, but they were particularly zany that night. It was their 100th show, so they were pounding them down like jackhammer. I like that song about the water. It made me thirsty, actually. These guys are awesome. Anyways, bartender Peter Simpson said he knew they were all drinking. Not a one of them seemed capable of driving, so I grabbed the keys from Dribbles and went to call a cab. I didn't notice he had a fish line on the keychain, and as soon as I had set him behind the bar, he must have zipped them back when I turned to call. By the time I hung up, they snuck out. They were really some talented clowns. Jack White witnessed the crash from a distance. I was headed northbound on Highway 12 and saw them coming in my direction. I had to slow down because they were all over the road from white line to white line. Then I went up on 2 wheels, cleared the drainage ditch, and hit a huge tree. White continued. I was about 100 yards from the scene, just sitting there, when I heard a strange flopping noise, interrupted by a repetitive squeak. Suddenly I saw a decapitated clown head rolling in my headlights, nose squeaking every time it hit the pavement. It was super eerie because the face was painted to look like it was still, like it was laughing. It'll be etched in my mind till the day I die. Officer Jeremy Drexler was the first one to arrive at the scene. It was the most horrifying scene I'd ever witnessed, Officer Drexler admitted. There were 19 clowns and 3 invisible dogs packed in that little car. The driver and the passenger were ejected early, so they survived but sustained serious injuries. 2 of the invisible dogs died in the fire, and we haven't been able to locate the third. When asked about the explosion, Officer Drexler stated, from what we've been able to determine, they had tanks of hydrogen in the trunk, which is actually in the front of that type of vehicle. Apparently they ran out of helium earlier in the week, and they were only able to attain hydrogen to make balloon hats, dogs, swords, carousels, the like. Drexler recalled, it was surreal. A few of the clowns had escaped the vehicle and were running, which only intensified the flames. I actually chuckled. I mean, think about the irony. But then I threw up. The emergency response team were next to arrive. Sue Johansson described, There were so many things going on at once that we didn't know where to begin. There was seltzer water everywhere, broken glass, the wretched smell of burning grease paint and melted plastic wigs. EMT Mark Wiggum was trying to pull Snickers from the car, but Snickers' shoes were too big and prevented him from getting the poor guy out in time. Physicians at St. Clair Hospital reported that Frank Rainier, Dribbles, and Roger Patton, Zippy, are both in critical condition. Rainier remains in a coma with severe neck and head injuries, while Patton is conscious, but doctors fear his career may be over unless his funny bone can heal properly. Mayor Patrick Liston expressed his grief during a briefing earlier this afternoon. Baraboo has suffered a shocking blow to its foundation this week. This terrible travesty is incomprehensible. Many clowns have died, but it doesn't mean that clowns are dead. We are home to the Circus World Museum. This city has thrived due to clowns and will continue to grow with a new generation of clowns. We will nurture the spirit of great clowning by starting a fund for future clowns. We are working with the Fuddy Duddy Institute in Albany, New York, and building a sister institute right here in Baraboo. We plan on breaking ground by next March and completing the project by 2020. Holding back tears, Liston continued. Clowns are people too. Creepy, creepy people. Dozens of locals attended the funeral service. The bodies of the deceased were put into custom caskets made from lime wood, the same wood carousel horses are made from, decorated ornately to resemble a circus train, with an extra room for big red noses and extra long shoes. They were then mounted on a carousel and placed in a mausoleum designed to look like a circus tent. Noses squeaked in handkerchiefs, and makeup ran as Judy Collins sang her rendition of Send in the Clowns. Effigies were given by Willard Scott, the first Ronald McDonald, Buffalo, the world's strongest clown, and Steve T.J. Tatters Smith, longtime director of Ringling Clown College. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house when it finished with an Emmett Kelly impersonator sweeping a spotlight into darkness. Well, I'd like to say thanks for having me out here tonight. I hope it was as entertaining as the music, but it's been a good night. Thank you very much for letting me out.